Hi everyone, it's Margaret and I have a very different type of tutorial that I'm going to do today. I'm actually doing an airbrushing example of, I can't obviously teach you guys how to do airbrushing, but just to show you what airbrushing does. And I'm also doing an Asian beauty look that for those of you Asian girls that want to get inspired to be able to do this look as well. This is a great look for prom, great look for just going out, and definitely a great look for bridals and weddings and things like that for special events. But anyway, let me just go into what I'm doing. When you're doing any type of airbrushing, a lot of people have different styles of how they airbrush, but mainly for me, what I usually do is I usually do the concealing first, and then I want to make sure that I cover the extra imperfections with my concealer brush. And then you want to put a good primer on, especially for me because I do the eyes first, and then I usually do the airbrushing after. And it just makes it so much easier and cleaner to have the airbrush done after you do the eyes. So what I did was I did put a primer on the eyes, and then I just put a flat powder on the whole lid, just to create a nice soft smooth finish. Then I'm putting a highlighting powder right on the brow bone, and I'm going to pull that shimmer into the eyes as well, than the inner part of the eyes, because with the Asian eyes I want to open them up. So I'm pulling them a little bit into the inner part of the eyes just to open them up and give it a nice reflective feel to it. So now I'm putting on the lid, I'm putting like a champagne dusty brown, and this has a very nice reflective shimmer to it, so it really kind of it's very cohesive with the pearl highlighting powder I used on the brow. And I'm just merging the two together just because I like that really nice swash of soft shimmer flow with a little bit more of the gradation. So now what I'm doing is I'm putting the dark um, powder right on the lash line, and I'm bringing it out, as you can see. And I'm using a flat kind of rectangle brush because I want to bring the eyes and create a little bit more dimension. So when you're doing Asian makeup, you really want to make sure that you create a lot of different textures and dimensions. So see how I'm now going right into the crease. I'm actually drawing the dark powder into the crease just to create a little more dimension. And now what I'm doing here is I'm blending it in now, because I don't want it to be really heavy. I don't want to have an intense like cut crease effect. I just want a soft, kind of nice gradiated effect. So here I'm blending it all together, and then I'm going to go right on the lash line and put the dark powder right on the lash line. Now I don't want to use a heavy dark brown on this because I don't want this to have that kind of edgy look. I really still want this to be very soft. Now remember, this is something that I want someone to feel natural but still have that nice elegant feeling to it. So I have Vivian now closing her eyes, and I'm going to go with the airbrushing, and I'm using all silicone base. So even with the concealer underneath, I used a silicone based cream, and now I'm using a silicone based airbrush foundation. And I'm now just going right on the areas, and I'm moving in closer to the areas that need a little bit more. But I'm just bypassing the eyes because I already done the eyes. So I don't want to go too much, into the eyes, because you don't want to cover up the makeup that you've done. And look at one thing about airbrushing, it develops. And so even though you do look at it, you go, God, it doesn't look like I have anything on. Let it set. And once you let it breathe and set, you will see the difference. And you can already see it's just looking so flawless and so clean. And once it's set, it'll last for a long time. Now here's the thing about airbrushing. And the reason why I did the eyes is because you can't touch airbrush makeup, especially if it's not set, because it'll smear because it sits on top of the skin. So you want to make sure that you do the eyes first and then let the foundation set so you don't touch the face. And so you got to be really, really gingerly about touching the face. If you do, you got to go over it. And see now how I'm just kind of blowing the foundation just in those areas that need a little bit more. But you can see how clean and flawless that's looking. And I'll tell you, it's such a great tool, especially for bridal. And also if you're doing men's makeup, it's such a great medium to use instead of just using conventional foundation. And there's a lot of great foundations out there that really have nice coverage without making it look heavy. So now I'm doing the blush. I'm actually doing the blush with the airbrush. And see how I just added a nice soft kind of a peachy color. And I'm just going right on the cheek, the ledge of the cheek, but it's going right into the cheeks and it's not looking heavy like if you were to put powder, it goes on heavier. And so now, right now, what I'm doing here is I'm just adding a little bit of highlighting right on the top of the cheekbones and just on around the face, just to create a little bit more shimmer and just to bring the dewiness out of the skin. And so look at how pretty that is. It's just such a nice, flawless finish. And wait till you let this set. When you let airbrush set, it really looks unbelievable. And it is a really great effect that you get when you use airbrushing. And it's not an easy thing to do. You really have to be trained. You have to know the mechanics of the machine. And you have to know how to, maneuver it as well, clean the gun and all that stuff. So it is definitely not something you could just pick up. Now, once I allowed the skin to set a little bit, it's not 100% set, but just pretty much it's almost there. I'm drawing in the eyebrows, and I'm using a powder, and I'm just going over her natural brows, and I'm not doing anything too heavy. And you have to remember you don't want to touch the skin now, because when the airbrushing is setting, it's going to be right on top of the skin. It's like literally putting foundation on glass. Now, if you let the foundation set, and you touch the foundation after it's set, then it's fine. But if it's wet, it'll smear. It doesn't sit inside the skin like regular foundation does. So here I'm being very careful, but I'm just drawing in with the powder. And I'm just being very soft with this. I'm not going heavy, and especially because the airbrushing, you don't want to just do things too heavy with airbrush. I think that airbrushing is such a great medium, and it definitely gives you an option to have a different look, but as well gives you a different whole aspect to doing makeup. So now I'm just gonna finish up the eyes, and I'm just gonna go over the crease a little bit just to give it a little bit more pick up. I put a little contour color in it, and I'm just going to go right over the lash line again, and just to pump up the eyes a little bit, just to give it a little bit more punch with a little bit more liner. And I'm using a powder. I'm not going to go with a pencil, and this is because I don't want that heaviness on it. And so I'm giving this a little bit more of a pull out. And like I said, I don't want to go too heavy, and yet I want it to have a little bit more definition, just to give it a little bit more payout with the liner look. And just, be very careful. Like I said, don't touch the face. Now, if you don't have an airbrush, you can definitely go about doing your regular foundation, and if you want to just go ahead and do this look, that's totally fine. But I really wanted to dedicate this tutorial for the example of what airbrushing does, and also create a nice bridal and special events like prom and special events look. A lot of people do like to get their makeup done by airbrush, and a lot of people don't know what it's about, so this is a really great way to show you. So see how I just add just a little bit of gel, black gel, just to kind of pump it up a little bit and just to give it a little bit more texture. to the eyes, but I'm going very gradual. Like I said, I'm not just going willy-nilly into there and just giving it a hard line. So now I'm going to go and pull it out just a little bit, and I'm being very careful. And the skin is starting to look so illuminating with, how everything is starting to set. And you can see how pretty that is. The shimmer, I put a little highlighting shimmer right on the top of the cheekbones. And you can see how everything is starting to really, um, I call it blossom. And you'll see once it's done, you'll see how really smooth and just clean everything is. And it's a great look. So now I'm just giving it a nice little final finish here. And if you like my techniques and you also want to learn how to do airbrushing as well, I don't have that on the online training, but you can do that in your private one-on-one training. But if you like my techniques and you want to just do it online training, go to www.mkcbeautyacademy.com. That's www.mkcbeautyacademy.com for online training. Or if you want to come into Hollywood and do some private training or blended training, you could definitely do that. I teach airbrushing as well. And it's a really great way to get your skills up, or if you want to become a professional makeup artist. So here I'm doing the final mascara. I'm just doing a very black mascara, and I'm just going over the lashes and being very careful with it, not touching, the skin because that's hard. This is a challenge. So I'm going now underneath with a little bit of that soft shimmer brown that I use, that dusty brown. I'm just going right underneath the lash line just to give it a little bit more support. And now I'm using kind of a nude pale, a little bit of a mauvey pinky color, but it's still soft and nude. And this is going to create the final finish. So, and I really love this little bit of a pink because it really, I think, supports the cheeks with the softness that I did with the airbrushing of the blush. And I think it'll really pull it together. So, here we are. We're really at the final finish. And so now you have an understanding of what airbrushing is about. This is a great look. Like I said, if you want to do this look without airbrushing, go ahead and just do regular foundation and follow the other techniques. Thank you so much for watching. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe and stay tuned for more. Bye!